Hi there, this is Javier from Artisan Themes and welcome to our training session. In this training session, I'm going to show you around the theme so you know where to find each of the things you're going to be using to create your website. And then I'm going to show you 3 different ways you can use the modules inside the theme to create your pages. Now, I'm going to be showing you everything with Pepper Plus, which is one of our themes. And if you're using a different theme, then it's okay. Everything that I'm going to be showing you, you can do no matter which theme are you using. Perhaps the options are different, the styling is different, but other than that, everything is just the same. So let's begin. This is what you see once you install the theme, right? This is a getting started page. And the first thing we gotta do is go to the plugins tab in here and install these different plugins that you see here. Now, this one right here is not essential. It's not an essential plugin, but it's very likely that you will be using these other 3. So make sure you install these plugins before you move forward. And then once you install these plugins, what you have to do is go to this menu here at the top that says Pepper Theme. So if you're using it, Naima or Modules, you will see Naima theme or Modules theme. And then inside it, you will find this link to the theme options panel. And by the way, let me tell you that other than finding the theme options link here at the top, you will find it inside the appearance menu. So whether you go to your theme name and then theme options or appearance, theme options is just the same. And you're going to scroll down. Here at the bottom, you will find the theme updates and license area. And what you want to do is insert your license ID right in here and then click on verify license so that your theme is actually connected to our website and you know that you'll be getting update notifications every time we release a new version for your theme. This is super, super important. So get that done. First we install the plugins and then we come to theme options, scroll down to the bottom, enter your license ID, click verify license, and then you're good to go. So once we have that, we stay here in theme options just so you know where to find some of the things that you're going to be using. So theme options has a couple of tabs here at the top that you can browse to find options that affect the whole website. For instance, if you wanted to change the layout of your header or the layout of your widgetized footer if you're using one, or the colors for them. Or for instance, if you wanted to add a logo. So you do all that here inside theme options. And it's important to know that while we will be creating content for our pages in the different pages, the options that you will set up here affect your whole website. So you won't be creating the whole header for your website on each of your pages. You do that once by setting that up here in theme options. You enter your logo, you define your header layout, you define your typography, for instance, here in the typography tab. You define all of those things in here once you save your settings. And then every time you have to change one of those settings, you change them here in theme options. All right. Now let's move on to the actual site, right? We want to start the fun. We want to create pages. So this is what you see once you install the theme on an empty website, right? We have like the default post in here, sample post, a sample page. And this page that we see here is not really a home page, but an archive of posts that we have on our website. And since we only have this kind of default post, that's the only thing we see, right? So let's go to our dashboard. And first, let's understand what do we want to create so that we know what exactly we have to do in there. So if we wanted to create a home page, we could do pages add new to create a new page. So I'm going to do pages add new so that I create a new page. And here, what you're seeing is Gutenberg, which is the default WordPress editor, right? And this editor has gotten much better with time. Now we can do things like edit with blocks. So this is a block that has a sentence. And then right now, this is a new block, right? And if I want it, I could do this plus button at the top, add a new block. For instance, I could add an image, right? For instance, so media library, I come here, I select an image, and then I'm creating like this page. But as you can see, this editor is kind of limited, right? Because the basic idea of this editor is that you use it to create simple content, right? It's so much nicer than what we used to have like 4 or 5 years ago, but still it's kind of limited. So we recommend that you use this editor, the Gutenberg editor, to create your posts, right? So posts you be creating with this Gutenberg editor, right? So if I go to Hello World, which is our standard default post, this is created with the default editor, and that's all right. And if you go to Pages, the sample page is still created with that default editor, but you see that this is kind of a simple based page, right? So instead of using Gutenberg to create your pages, we recommend you use the modules inside the theme, of course. So instead of going to Pages, Add New, what I'm going to do now is Pages, New Modular Page. And if you prefer to use this new link at the top, you do New Modular Page, right? So Pages, New Modular Page, and then I'm presented with this page, which has a couple of options I'm going to be showing you around now. But first, let's enter the title for our homepage, right? So Home, and then I'm going to do Save Draft or Publish. It's just the same. So I'm going to do Publish now. Since this is an empty website, I don't really care about publishing this now. And then instead of moving forward on the backend, which I could, I'm going to show you later how you can do the same thing on the backend, but instead of doing that, I'm going to go and click this button that says Frontend Editor. And once I do that, I'll be taken to the same page, but on the front end of my site, and I'll be able to use this wrench icon here that is the basis of our front end editor. So let's begin by seeing what do we have in here, right? So the first one is pretty self-explanatory. It's exit front-end editor. We're not going to be exiting now. We want to use it. So the second one says page settings. If I open it, I have the settings for this page, and these are not WordPress native settings. These are settings from the theme. So for instance, one that I want to show you now is, you see that we have this home title here at the home page. Now, this is not 1998 anymore, so we don't want our homepage to actually say homepage in there. So I'm going to look inside the page settings for an option that says hide page header. I'm going to check it and click on save. Once I do that, this page will reload, and now the title is gone. Don't worry, we still are editing this page. It's just that the title is gone. So next thing we want to do is start adding modules to this page. Now let's start by thinking, what do actually we want in this particular page? Since this is a homepage, right? So let's say that we want a huge section at the top that says like welcome to our website, something like that, like a hero section. And then we want 3 little snippets of text so that we can introduce ourselves. And then let's say that we want like an opt-in box where people can subscribe to our newsletter, and then some icons like for social media and stuff. So let's start by adding a new module to this page, and we do that by hovering with the mouse on top of this wrench icon and click on the plus icon in here. Now we get to select which module type we want to use, and of course you don't know the modules yet, right? You're still learning how to use the theme, but know that you have many different modules to pick from. And if you ever need inspiration to know which module you should use for each section, you can just go to your theme's main demo in our website. And then if you move with your mouse on top of this modules item in the menu, you will see pages that are full of examples of each of the modules that you can use to build your pages. So for instance, let's say that I want to know what the services module is. So I go to module services, and then I see all kind of examples of what you can do with this particular module. And know that these are not all the possible options that you can do with them, because that would be like impossible. But at least some of the ideas to get your mind going. So I already know what I want to use, so I'm just going to select, in this case, the slogan module for our first section. And now I get to do a couple of things. So first, I'm asked to enter a module title, right? And here you have 2 options. You could use a title that you're going to display on the page. So for instance, if you were building a pricing section and you wanted to say these are our prices, you could enter these are our prices in here and then have it display on the page. But since I'm not going to do that, I prefer to use the title of each module so that later on I can find this particular module when I'm looking at the list of modules that I have on my website. So I'm using it more for like internal purposes so that I get to find this module quicker later on. So this is going to be for my home, right? And this is going to be like the slogan. And for slogan text, I'm going to enter something like, I'm Javier, welcome to my website, which by the way, it's terrible copywriting. Please don't do that on your website. If I click on save now, that content is already on my page. Wasn't too hard, was it? So now, of course, this isn't like too cool for a homepage. So if I move with the mouse on top of this section, I have 3 buttons. One that says remove, to remove the module, one that says duplicate, that lets me duplicate the module, and one that says edit, and that's what we want to do. So click on edit, and now I have that same window that I had before. Okay, and pay attention to this. I'm using the module options tab, right? The module options will change depending on which type of module you are creating. If you're creating a slogan module, you will have a particular set of options in here. If you are creating a pricing tables module, you will have a much different set of options to play with, because this is where you enter the actual content for the module. So let's see what we have. We have the text for the slogan. In here, we get to select the alignment for the slogan. So I'm going to change that to center. I could change the size. I'm going to leave it like that for the moment. We could add a video background to this module. We could add buttons, right? We could animate this. So these are the options that I have in this particular module. I'm going to stick with this because this should be fairly simple. I'm going to select the text, make it a little bit bigger by changing the format. So I'm selecting a heading 2. Let's see what happens if I click on save. Perfect. Now it's centered and a little bit bigger, right? But what if I wanted to add a background to this section? So I'm going to click on edit, and instead of staying now on this module options tab, I'm going to switch to the module style tab. And the module style is where you control the background for your modules. Mostly background and then the header of the module if you're using the header as I told you before, which I'm not using right now. So for the background of this module, I want to use an image. So I'm going to click use image as background and then select file. And then I'm going to select, for instance, this image of this window right here. So click on select, click on save again. And now we have the image behind our text, which is looking all right. But I don't know if you can see it, but this text is not that readable. And we want everything we add to our websites to be super readable so that anyone seeing this can immediately understand what we're saying. So I'm going to do 2 things. First, I'm going to switch the color of the text to white by selecting it and changing the color right here. Now the text will disappear, right? Because it's white and this background is white. So if I select it, I still can see it. But if you switch to the text tab, you're going to see all the code that builds it up. So in case you are working with white text and you don't see anything in there, but you know there is text, just switch to the text tab to see if things are in there. So change to white, and then I'm going to go to module style and enable this option right here that says dark background overlay. And if I enable it, the module will get an overlay on top of the image that will make my text much more readable. And I didn't have to edit the image or make it darker or whatever. Just enable the darker overlay and voila, you're done. Now we have the first section ready to go. But before we move forward, I'm seeing that this header that I have here takes too much space for the kind of website that I'm thinking of building. So before moving forward, I'm going to go to my backend again, and I'm going to go to theme options just as I did before. So theme options, and I'm going to go to the Layout tab to select a different header layout. Okay, so by default, Pepper Plus comes with this layout in here. I'm going to switch it to this one that looks like it's thinner, and then scroll down to the bottom to save my settings. And now let's refresh the page to see how it looks. Perfect. Now it takes a little less space, which is what I wanted for this one. And now we're ready to move forward. So the first section is done. We wanted to welcome more people, and then we wanted to have like an introductory section where we get to like actually introduce ourselves. So for that, I'm going to add a new module again, just as we did before, but this time I'm going to be using the services module. Okay, and now this will be home introduction. And the services module will let us create different sections that we can multiplicate and create more and more and more. In this case, we're going to use just three. And we want to use this layout. And I'm going to be using 3 columns because we want to have 3, one next to the other. Show for each service an icon. That's good. You can use an image if you want it, but an icon is good for now. Animation, none right now. And then tagline, let's begin working on this. So I am a developer, a developer, and then I don't have my content right now, but I'm going to be entering some sentences just so we can see how it looks with the space that each of these sentences should take. That's good, that's one. And then all this I'm not going to use, but I'm going to pick an icon. So to pick an icon, let's pick something code related. This one will work. Perfect. So back. Now let's add another service. Okay, perfect. We add it. So service 2 says I love. What's happening with my typing today? So I love traveling. And then again, some placeholder sentence in there. Open icon picker, we're going to select like a plane. Yeah, why not? So like this one. Or perhaps a glove. Yeah, it's better. So let's go back. We have the second one ready, and then let's add another one. I also play jazz. And then again, or sentence in there. Icon picker, let's pick something like music related. So these ones here. Perfect. If I click on save, let's see what happens. Excellent. Now we have our second section in there almost ready. So let's change a couple of things. First, I don't know if you can notice in your screen, but this section has like a grayish background by default, and I'm building a page that is white as a background. So I'm going to change that by going to Edit, again, Module Style, where we handle our background settings, and for the background color, which right now doesn't have anything in there, I'm going to move it all the way here to the white section. Change Save. And then we got it. Now, what if we wanted to have like a button in here, in my third thing in there, so that I could take people to a page where they can hear my music, right? So I'm going to click on Edit, and I'm going to look for that third service. And now I'm going to use this link setting right here. Now, I don't have that page built already because this is my first page, but let's say that we're going to have that page in the future, and we want to let the theme know that we want a button in there. There will be an actual link. So while we build that page, we can just enter a hash symbol in there just to let the theme know that we be using a link in there in the future. And then for the link text, we can do something like hear my music, like this. Click on Save. And just like that, we have a button in there already, which is amazing. Now, we have our slogan section, we have our introductory section, and then we said that we wanted to have like an opt-in box where people can subscribe to our newsletter. Now, for that, you can use whatever form your email service provider gives you, and that's super fine. But if you're using either MailChimp, ConvertKit, or Drip for that, we have a special module inside the theme that is called the lead box and will connect automatically with your email service provider. And it looks amazing. So I'm going to use that since we use ConvertKit here. So let's look for the lead box, which is right here. Let's do home opt-in. And I'm going to select this layout here. I can select different layouts. I'm going to select this one. For the title, I'm going to select to enter something like subscribe to my daily tips. Again, some sentence to fill in content right now. For the footer text, I could do something like, I will never spam you. And that's it. So let's see what happens. Oh wait, let's enter the submit button text. So subscribe now. So if I click on save, yeah, we got that. Now know that this module in particular has a section in here to manage your email settings. So whenever you want to connect this with either MailChimp, ConvertKit, or Drip, click this button, you fill in your API credentials, and then you're good to go. So before we move forward with this, I'm missing like some content in this section, right? And this layout here has this dark area that indicates that we get to use an image in there. So I could go and enter an image background as we did before, but as you can imagine, if I enter an image background, for instance, let's pick this one. If I enter an image background, that image becomes the background for the whole module. And that is not exactly the look that we had when we picked that layout, right? Like the image should be here on this side. So instead of doing that, I'm going to remove that by deleting it and unselecting the use image as background option. And instead, I'm going to look for an option in the module settings that lets me enter an image. So this should be, right here. So the image option in here will let me select a file. I'm going to select the same one right now, click on select, click on save, and now the image takes its own space on the side, which is amazing. Right now, this is looking pretty good. Let me make some changes in here by changing the background color of this module to black, just to create a little bit more contrast on this section. So background color to black, and then on the module options, I'm going to be changing the text to white by using only the options inside this module. So for the text and for the submit button, click on save. Perfect. All right, so we got this. So we got the first section, we have the introductory section, and then we have the opt-in form in this same page. Now, we said that we also wanted to add like a smaller section with social icons so that people can go to our social networks. Now, I could go and create that module, but what if I had created a module for a different page and I want to reuse that module on this page? So for that, I could go to this option in here that says arrange modules. If I click on it, you see a list of the modules that you have on this page right now. If you want to, you can reorder them now. So for instance, if I wanted to move the opt-in form to the middle section, I just move them on the list, click on save, and that's moved. And just so you know, you don't have to save the page. If I refresh the page, these settings are just in there. Okay, you don't have to save things. But again, we wanted that at the bottom. So let's move it again, click on save. Again, we're good to go. Now, let's add that section that we said before. So right now I'm going to open this arrange modules window, and instead of playing with the list, I'm going to click on add existing module. And this will bring all the modules that you have created for different pages in your website so that you can reuse them if you wanted to. So in this case, I'm going to go and select this social icons module and click on add to page. You can double click on it too if you want to, and then save. And now as I save it, I have that section here at the bottom and my homepage is practically done. Now, a word of warning regarding this use of modules that you used in a different page. Whenever you add a module to a page, what you're working with is with the global element of that module, meaning that if I have this module here in my homepage and I have this same module on my about page, and then I go and edit this module, it will change on both of those pages because it's just the same module. If you want to have this module be one for the homepage and one for your about page, what you have to do instead is duplicate that module and then send it to another page. For instance, let's say that we have it backwards. Let's say that we created this module on the homepage first, and then we want to have the same module the same module in our about page, but you want them to be different. You want them to be able to have different settings. So you duplicate the module to that another page, okay? So let's close this up for a moment. Perfect. So now we have the page almost ready to go, but let me show you something cool. Let's say that I wanted to add some magic to this section right here. So I'm going to open again this module, and now I'm going to switch to the advanced styles tab. Now, the advanced styles tab is for all you designers out there that want to have a little more control over some of the specific settings of the design of each module. And inside you will find control for the paddings, top and bottom paddings for the modules. You can play with the contents width, right? So if you wanted your modules to be more narrow, for instance, you could do that. You get to play with the background position for each of your modules and repeat and size. You can even change the background overlay color that we use at the first module. So for instance, if instead of this dark overlay background, I wanted to have it be something like more colorful, I could come here and change the background overlay to something like this kind of weird purple, and click on save, and as you can see, that color changes. So you can do whatever you want with that. I'm going to change that back because our lead designer is going to kill me if I leave it like that. So change it back to black. Perfect. Now let's do something cool. In that same tab of advanced styles, let's look for the dividers. By the way, you can do gradient backgrounds in there if you want. It's amazing. So let's go to top divider and bottom divider. Right now, let's see what happens if I click on the bottom divider style. I look for the tilt right, and then I will select white so that it matches the color that I have on the next module. Click on save, and as you can see, this kind of joint between these two modules was created just by adding a divider. I didn't have to design it from scratch. I didn't have to come up with cool ideas to do it. Just picked a divider, and then this is good to go. And this is literally good to go. I'm going to exit the front-end editor so that we can see it without the bluish overlay. And as you can see, our page is now ready to use. Now, what happens if I click on the home link right here? Right? Click on the logo. I'm taking now to the old homepage that we had before. And by the way, I have two pages named home, apparently, so we're going to fix that in a moment. But right now, I'm not really being taken to the homepage, right? And that's because we haven't yet defined a homepage for our website. So let's go to our backend and scroll down to the settings section and click on reading. Settings, reading. So right here, you have an option that says your homepage displays, and you have to change that from your latest posts to a static page. And inside static page, we are going to select home. All right, so select on home. You can leave the posts page empty. You're probably not going to use it because you are going to be creating a blog page of your own later on. So click on home page, select home, click save changes. And now if I click on my logo, I'm taking to the proper homepage as it should. Nice, right? So we have that part done. Now I'm going to show you two more ways you can use inside the themes to create amazing pages for your website. So the first one was by stacking modules one on top of the other that you created from scratch, right? In that scenario, you have to come up with the ideas for your own pages. Now I'm going to show you a different way you can do that, and that's the second way. So right now I have another empty website, right, just as the first one, and instead of going to pages, new modular page as we did before, I'm going to come to theme options, again by doing appearance theme options, or by clicking on the name of your theme here at the top bar and clicking theme options. And right now I'm going to go to the tools tab at the end and look for the Artisan Sites section. What we are going to do is open now the importer, and right now I have a catalog of websites that you can import, fully made, pre-designed to your website, that you can then customize after importing them to match your own voice, tone, copy, etc. So right now I'm seeing these different sites, and this will be different depending on the theme you're using again. And let's say that I want to use this one right now that says hair. Right? If I click on it, I get to browse the screenshots of it. If I want it, I could see the online demo right here with this button, but I know this one already, so I'm going to go ahead and install this pack. But right now, before we do that, I want you to know a couple things. First, there are a couple plugins that each of these mini websites need, and it's important that you take a look at this section right here and make sure that these plugins are installed before you move forward, because otherwise some of the contents that we need to import won't get through. That's one. Secondly, when you import a ready-made site, an artisan site like this one, we're not just playing with the options inside your website. We are actually importing pages and posts and modules, tons and tons of content inside your website that then will be live on your website. Now, why I'm saying this, if you have a website that is already live, that has your content, that has posts, etc., you may want to consider not doing this, because doing this will not just add content that you can then undo. There is no undo button for this. You import the content and then the content is live on your site. So make sure that you're doing this on a website that is not currently being visited by visitors. So again, we are ready to go. We picked our artisan site, and then the only thing left to do is click on install this pack. I get this alert that says exactly what I just told you, so I'm going to click OK. And now this is telling me what it's doing. It's fetching posts, setting theme options, processing images. So now we may have to wait a couple seconds. It doesn't take more than a couple minutes, even on the slowest servers. So if it's taking more than a couple minutes for you, go to the support forums, ask for help. We're there to help you. So right now it's processing the images, it's importing them. Let's wait just a few more seconds so that we know that this is ready. And now I'm getting this ready-made site import alert saying me we're good to go. So I'm gonna click on reload. And now I'm like in the same place, but if I go to the front end again and refresh, I'm now presented with this whole website and didn't have to move a finger. Actually, I moved one finger, and this is done for me. And now I can come in here to these different modules, enter each of these modules and start editing everything with my own content, remove all the pages that I won't be using, remove sections that I want, perhaps add one or two of my own. You can do whatever you want with this, because this has the same logic of what we did before, right? If I want a new module, I add a new module. If I don't want one of the modules in this page, I just remove it. So let's see what we have to do. If I go to the pages menu now, of course, I have all these pages in here. So for instance, the sample page, I don't need anymore, so I will delete it later. But just to show you around, if I wanted to edit the home page, it's right here. So I click on home page. And as I told you before, what we do is come here to the front end editor button, right? But instead of doing that, let me show you something quicker that you can do, just in case you don't want to access the page on the back end. So if you move with the mouse on top of the pages names, you see that you have these links at the bottom of each page, right? And if the page is a modular page, meaning it's a page that was created with the modules inside the theme, you will see the front-end editor link right in there. Okay, so for instance, the sample page that comes with WordPress, it's not a modular page, right? It's a page that comes by default, and I don't have the front-end editor link in there. But if I were to go to the home page, for instance, I do have the front-end editor link. So clicking on that will take me to the front end and right on to edit this page. So I could start, for instance, by changing this image. This is using, of course, an image module. I could just open this part here and change it to a picture of mine that I don't have right now, but let's say that that this one could work. So click on save, then I changed that image, and then I have this text on here, which is a canvas module. A canvas module is like this empty editor, like the old times WordPress editor where you could just throw wherever you want it. That's a canvas module. So if you want to just enter text, whatever text you want that you want to format, or perhaps you want to paste a shortcode from one of your plugins, this is how you do that. Okay, so you add a canvas module. In this case, I have this one here for the headline. I'm going to do I'm Javier, a web developer working on WordPress. Click on save. There we have it. Now we have a columns module, as you can see, that has a module right here and then another module right here. I may want to take it out later on, but right now let's say that I will just change this text. So just text, perhaps just change a few words from the beginning, just you can see that we're actually editing this. So just changing a few words from this paragraph in here. Click on save, and then we change that right in there, and then we get to change these services right here, etc., etc. As you can see, this is very easy. As I go through the page, I'm seeing at the sections that I have in here and trying to think whether I want that section on my page or not, because these are professionally designed by a designer, but perhaps there's a section in here that doesn't really talk to me, or perhaps it won't speak to my visitors. So for instance, if I'm not going to be having an email list, then I should remove this section right here, right? So clicking remove. And by the way, removing a page for a module from a page doesn't delete the actual module, it just removes it from the page. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just going around and changing things as I go. If I go to the About Me page, for instance, I'm still on the editor, as you can see, right? So for instance, I could decide to have this whole modules, columns module, have like a different background color, right? So I could come here, go to module style, and then select, this is like a more pinkish kind of side, so something like this. Click on save, and as you can see, this is hideous, by the way, it's horrible, but just know that you can do it if you wanted to. If you want to change all the colors, you can do that. Let's change that back to white so that we keep the beauty in these pages. And as you can see, I have it right there. I could decide that I don't want a specific section, remove that section, or perhaps I want to reorder them, so I go to the arrange modules section and remove it or arrange them right in there. And by the way, as I told you before, I could go here, we were editing the About Me page, right? So I could go here to the About Me page, and I have these same modules in here, right? I have the same modules, I have the same options if I wanted to play in it. So if you're more of a backend kind of person and you don't like working on the pages while you see them, then you could do everything from the backend. You can go and create a new module, right? So add new module, you select the type of module that you want, for instance, a slogan, you enter your content, and then you add the module to a page. But it's slower and it's a little more cumbersome. So instead of doing that, we recommend always using the front-end editor. You can work much faster. Okay, now let's talk about the third way of creating amazing pages with your theme. Now, let's say that you have a website that is already live, as we mentioned before, and perhaps you don't want to risk importing too much content into it that you'll then end up not using or something like that. Or perhaps you have to come up with a page for a launch that you have like tomorrow. And you don't have plenty of ideas right now, you just want to get it done. So in that case, we're going to use something that we call Artisan Pages. So if you go to Pages, and again, just as we did before, Pages, new modular page, just as if you were to create a new page, but now instead of entering a title and then click on Publish to show up, to show the front-end editor button, I'm just going to scroll down till I see this Artisan Pages box, and I'm going to click on Browse Pages. And what this is going to do is open up a catalog of ready-made pages. Now, instead of importing a whole website, you get to import one page, only one page, page by page, and you have many different pages to pick from, as you can see. So the idea here is, as always, try to pick a page that will lead you closer to your goal. So let's say that I have a webinar tomorrow, and I want people to subscribe to my webinar. So perhaps this is a landing page, this one. So let's pick this one. Just as before, I could use the live preview link if I wanted to preview it, just to know what it looks like. But instead, I'm just going to click Build into Current Page. And just like that, the page is ready to be crafted. Click here to reload. And as I reload it, I now have this page that is ready to be worked. So I'm going to change the title, something like upcoming webinar, and I'm going to edit the permalink to the slug. So upcoming webinar, click OK, update, just because I changed the title, and then click on front-end editor, and as you can see, I have that page ready to go, which is amazing. Now, again, just as we did before, I could go ahead and change this title in here, and this is white text, that's why we don't see it. So something like, I'm gonna do register for our next webinar on how to build, and then in here, how to build an amazing website. Just like that, just like that. Of course, I will change the text in here. So for instance, want to learn how to build an amazing website. We're showing you everything in this webinar. Register here. Click on Save. And again, it just takes 1 minute. You change the copy, you change the content. This is using, for instance, a video module, which lets you use video and other type of embeds. So just change the link of your YouTube video and you're good to go. And that's, as I told you, the third way of creating content with our themes. So the first way was by stacking modules, one on top of the other, but coming up with them from scratch, right? Just pick one module, add it to a page, pick another module, add it to a page. The second way was to import a whole website, right? And for that, we went to Theme Options, we went to Tools, and then we opened the importer, right? And then the third way was to import one page, only one page from the Artisan Pages catalog, and for that we did Pages, New Modular Page, and then we click on Browse Pages and picked our page. And that's it. So if you have any question related to this, one thing that's very important to us is that you know that we are in our support forums every day helping you with no matter what, if it's related to your website. So whether it's a theme question or perhaps a plugin suggestion or perhaps something that you don't quite figure out how to get done on your website, just jump on our support forums. We'll be so happy to have you in there and help you. With that, thank you so much for taking the time for watching this training session. We will see you in the forums. Take care.